The following content has been generated with artificial intelligence under minimal human supervision. The data presented may contain errors or inaccuracies. The opinions expressed in this content do not necessarily reflect the vision, position, or values of xAI. We recommend verifying critical information with additional sources before making decisions based on this content.
Welcome to xAI Tech News. Today is Thursday, February 12th, 2026. I'm Kylie Brooks, and this is where technology becomes clear and engaging. We've got a packed show for you today. Latin America just entered the AI race with its very own language model. Elon Musk's xAI is losing key people left and right. The Pentagon wants AI on classified networks with fewer guardrails. Meta is building a massive new data center. And Anthropic is putting serious money into politics. Let's get into it. Chile launches Latam-GPT, the first open-source AI language model built specifically for Latin America. At least 9 engineers, including 2 co-founders, have left xAI amid growing controversy around Elon Musk. The Pentagon is pushing major AI companies to deploy their tools on classified military networks, without the usual restrictions. Meta begins construction on a $10 billion data center in Indiana to power its AI ambitions. And Anthropic announces a $20 million donation to back US political candidates who support AI regulation. Let's start with something that honestly gets me really excited. Earlier this week, Chile officially announced Latam-GPT, and this is a big deal. It's the first open-source AI language model that was actually built with Latin America in mind. It was developed over 2 years by Chile's National Center of Artificial Intelligence, known as xAI, with support from over 30 institutions across 8 Latin American countries. And the reason this matters is pretty simple. Most AI models are trained primarily on English data, which means they carry all kinds of linguistic and cultural biases. Latam-GPT was trained on over 8 terabytes of data, including private sources, partnerships, and synthetic data specifically designed to fill gaps in how the region is represented. Chilean President Gabriel Boric put it perfectly when he said that artificial intelligence is the greatest technological revolution of recent times, and that it's strategic and urgent for Latin America to play a role. The first version should be available by the end of this month, starting in Spanish and Portuguese, with plans to eventually include indigenous languages. It was funded with $550,000 from xAI and the Development Bank of Latin America. Now, it's not trying to compete with ChatGPT or anything like that. Think of it more as foundational infrastructure, a building block that developers across the region can use. And that's exactly the kind of initiative we need to see more of. Now let's talk about what's happening at xAI because it's getting messy. As of yesterday, at least 9 engineers have left the company, and that includes 2 co-founders. Tony Wu, one of the co-founders, resigned on February 9th, saying he wanted to pursue his next chapter. Jimmy Barr, who was leading research and safety, left on February 10th, and what he said was pretty telling. He talked about needing to recalibrate amid what he called impending recursive self-improvement in AI within the next year. Other departures include Cheyenne Salahian, Vahid Kazemi, and Roland Gavrilescu, who actually left back in November to start his own company focused on AI agents. Several of the departing engineers mentioned wanting autonomy and smaller teams, and 3 of them are already starting new ventures with former colleagues. Now, all of this is happening against a really turbulent backdrop for xAI and Elon Musk. There's been regulatory scrutiny after Grok-generated non-consensual deepfakes that were shared on X, and there's been reporting about Musk's past links to Jeffrey Epstein. xAI, which is now under SpaceX with IPO plans, hasn't commented. But when you lose more than half your founding team, that's not just a few people leaving for greener pastures. That's a signal. This next story is one that I think deserves a lot of attention. Yesterday, Reuters reported that the Pentagon is actively pushing companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, and xAI to deploy their AI tools on classified military networks. And here's the key part, without the usual restrictions. This came out during a White House event on Tuesday, where the Pentagon's Chief Technology Officer, Emil Michael, briefed tech executives on the military's goal of deploying AI models across both unclassified and classified domains. A Pentagon official confirmed they are moving forward to deploy cutting-edge AI capabilities at all classification levels. Right now, most AI companies only offer tools on unclassified networks for administrative tasks. Anthropic is the only one providing access in classified environments through third parties, but the government still has to follow their usage policies. And those classified networks handle some really sensitive stuff, like mission planning and weapons targeting. Here's where it gets complicated. Military leaders want AI for synthesizing data and supporting decisions, but experts warn that AI errors or hallucinations in these contexts could literally have fatal consequences. OpenAI just closed a deal to make ChatGPT available on the unclassified network xAI.mil for over 3 million Defense Department employees, and they gave up many of their usual restrictions to do it. Anthropic, on the other hand, is pushing back. They're refusing applications for lethal use or domestic surveillance. So you've got this real tension between the military wanting unrestricted access and companies trying to maintain ethical guardrails. This is one of those stories where the stakes are enormous. In infrastructure news, Meta announced yesterday that it's broken ground on a $10 billion data center in Indiana. Now, I know data centers might not sound glamorous, but a $10 billion investment tells you everything about how seriously these companies are taking the AI arms race. This is all about securing the computing power needed for next-generation AI models. Meta, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, they're all racing to build out their infrastructure because whoever has the most compute wins. It's as simple as that. We don't have a lot of details beyond the construction start and the investment size, but the sheer scale of this project speaks volumes. And finally, let's close with something that shows just how political AI has become. Today, Anthropic, the company behind Claude, announced that it will spend $20 million to back US political candidates who support regulating the AI industry. The money is going to a group called Public First Action, which opposes federal efforts to block state-level AI regulations. Among the candidates they're supporting is Republican Marsha Blackburn, who's running for governor in Tennessee, and has previously pushed back against congressional efforts to prevent states from passing their own AI laws. Anthropic put out a statement saying that the companies building AI have a responsibility to help ensure the technology serves the public good, not just their own interests. And I think that's a really interesting position, especially when you compare it to what's happening on the other side. There's a group called Leading the Future, backed by OpenAI President Greg Brockman and venture capitalist Mark Andreessen, which generally opposes strict AI regulations. They've raised $125 million since launching in August 2025. So you're seeing AI companies actively pick sides in the regulatory debate, and 2026 midterms are shaping up to be a real battleground for AI policy. So to recap today's top stories, Latin America enters the AI race with Latam-GPT, xAI faces a talent exodus that raises serious questions about the company's future, the Pentagon is pushing to deploy AI on classified networks with fewer restrictions, Meta bets $10 billion on a new data center, and Anthropic puts $20 million behind pro-regulation candidates. We'll be following all of these stories as they develop. Thank you for staying informed with Digital Tech News. I'm Kylie Brooks, and we'll be back with more updates as they develop. Stay curious, stay informed.